So my topic for today is something I can resonate with pretty well, and it's the simple fact that just because you've relapsed doesn't mean you've failed. Now, this can be put into several different contexts, of course. Like if you've relapsed, like in something you're trying to quit, like once or twice in a certain amount of time, then it's okay. That doesn't mean you failed. And even still, I'd argue if you've relapsed multiple times and you're still putting in an effort, then I'd say you haven't failed it, even still. Because as long as you're trying to get out of whatever habit that you're stuck in and that you can't get yourself quite out of, but you're just making an effort at least to get out of that habit, that doesn't mean you failed. When it counts as failure is when you've tried for a certain amount of time, you relapse, and then you don't keep going. You kind of just stop there and assume, oh, I've relapsed, I've failed, this is the end. And you kind of just accept the failure, and you don't learn from it or grow from it or move on from it. First of all, relapsing is a part of the process. You are not going to go through anything that you're trying to quit and not relapse at least once. It's going to happen because that's kind of just the way it goes. You know what I mean? Like, it happens to everybody at some point in their lives. They try to quit something or they try to do something to make a change for themselves, and as a result, they have a relapse at some point in that time. However, that relapse might mean a step backwards, but it also means a couple steps forward. Something I kind of touched up on my last video. A relapse is not the end of the world, and the biggest thing I can say when it comes to relapsing is that you shouldn't stress it too much. You shouldn't dwell on it a whole lot, because the more you dwell on it, the more shame you're going to put on yourself for that relapse, and the worse you're going to make yourself feel, and the more confidence you're going to take away from yourself by just dwelling on that relapse and thinking about it over and over and over again. And your first relapse, hopefully it's your only one, and whatever it is, it sucks. It really does. It really sucks. It feels like the end of the world, and it feels like you've failed. But that doesn't mean it is. That does not mean it is the end of the world. Because just because you failed once, that does not mean there's nothing stopping you from going at it again and doing better the next time. Just because you failed once does not mean that you can't try again. All hope is not lost, if you know what I mean. Like, for example, with my journey in trying to quit masturbation. Have I relapsed once lately? Yes, I did. In fact, it was today. I relapsed today. First thing this morning, and it's the only time of the day that I have issues with that. And, you know, the good old thing they call morning wood. You know, I succumbed to it, and unfortunately that was my first relapse. And I'm hoping it's going to be my only one. I'm going to continue to strive and continue to go along with this journey with quitting masturbating. So, I mean, you know, it happens to everybody. And I'm not going to get in my head and think about it a ton and just sit on it all day and let it ruin my day. Because one little bad thing, something as small as that, cannot take away from the rest of your day. You can't let that just make you miserable, you know? There's plenty of worse things in life that can happen to you. One, I mean, like, sure, if it's like a drug relapse or something like that, it's not great, but it's not the end of the world. You know what I mean? Like, it happened, but it doesn't mean, like I've said already, you can't continue to strive to stop. Like, it happens. It's okay. As long as you continue to make the effort. That's the important part. And oftentimes, a relapse is kind of just like, I don't know. it's kind of just, what's the word? I don't know. I forgot what I was saying mid-sentence. I'll come back to that later. But, yeah, no. So, I mean, I know plenty of people, a lot of my friends have also been trying to quit masturbating or other things like that. And they all have had relapses at some point in time. Like, I mean, every single person in my friend group at some point in time had some sort of relapse. Like, it's not the end of the world. Don't stress it too much. Don't let it get to your head. Don't let it stop your grind set. Don't let it, like, end everything. And, essentially completely, like, turn into a wall in front of the goals that you've set for yourself. Just because you've relapsed in one thing doesn't mean you can't continue to strive in the other things that you're doing. Like, if you're still continuing with your healthy habits throughout your everyday life, and you haven't missed a day in any of those habits, and you've continued to do it over and over and over again, then you're still winning. Okay, like, sure, you had a slip up in one thing. As long as that doesn't turn into, like, a week's worth of slip ups, or, like, I don't know, more than that, or you're doing it multiple times in a day, you know, like, if you do it once in a great while, let's say you go, I don't know, let's say you're like me and you've gone a month or two without masturbating. Like, and then you do it one time. Like, it's not the end of the world. Like, if you do it for a week straight after that, and you continue to do it, then, like, that's not great. But unfortunately with that, that's an easy thing to get wrapped up into. It's pretty easy oftentimes when you do it once to just continue to do it every day after that. But if you have the mental strength and the skills that you've built up from whatever things and habits you've picked up and whatever has helped you to get to where you are now, then it's going to continue to help you grow and get stronger. So hopefully a week's worth or however long's worth of a relapse that occurs won't happen again. Hopefully it doesn't last any longer than a day or however long it lasted for you. So, yeah. It's okay to relapse. Remember that. Do not let it turn you off and reset your brain back to square one. Because you are not at square one when you've relapsed. Yeah. That's all I got for today. So, shorter video than usual, but just something I wanted to talk about. Something I kind of had in my mind for a bit, and kind of where, you know, I had my slip up today. Just wanted to use that as a little, I don't know. Yeah. So, that's all I got. Stay blessed.